Okay. Um, should we start or
Yes.
okay? I'm letting everyone
Uh-huh.
in and sorry.
We're good.
Oh, okay. I'm letting everyone in and starting the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Opportunity Zone. My name is Nate, and I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Chris Lavin. Chris,
Hey Nate, how you doing? How's everybody doing?
we got a lot going on.
I don't know. We do.
There's a war, unfortunately, raging in the Middle East.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about how that's going to affect investors here at home. We've got new construction on apartment buildings that's stalled. I mean, like practically come to a screeching halt.
Yep.
We're going to talk about how you can actually profit during cycles like this. We're going to talk about a surprising market where rental demand right now is rising faster than available inventory right now. We're also going to go through a housing policy that's going to be a big shift up in the state of Michigan.
Mhm.
A lot of stuff to cover today. So welcome to the Opportunity Zone, ladies and gentlemen. This is the show where Chris and I, multifamily real estate investors who have the motto, believe in more. We're going to take you through the articles and the news that are affecting investors today, and we're going to show you what you can do about it as an actual investor. First thing, in honor of Father's Day, I heard a stat that I think everybody needs to hear. 93% of the time that dad leads a family to God, the family follows. I want to say that again, 93%. So those of you that are dads out there that think that maybe your voice, maybe you wonder, does it matter? Does it not? Know that 93% of the time that a dad leads a family to God, the family follows. That stat hit me like a brick in the face. And so I hope that it serves somebody. Proverbs 27, written by King Solomon, says that a righteous man walks in integrity and his children are blessed after him. And if you go deep into biblical text, you'll see that Solomon inherited a lot. And part of it was because his father, David, had a heart that sought after God. So I'm not going to go all biblical and preach on you guys more than that today, but I just want all the dads out there to know that your voice matters. Whatever legacy you want to leave for your kids, if you want to pass the ultimate blessing on, then try to bring God into the equation.
More important than your voice is your actions.
Well
Your
said.
actions matter.
Well
Because
said.
kids will listen, but they will mimic your actions.
Chris, speaking of actions, would you mind giving us a blessing?
Absolutely. Heavenly Father, first and foremost, I'd like to acknowledge your existence in my life. I'm so grateful that you're a part of my daily life, my daily being, and that I've allowed my ego to get out of the way and acknowledge that you are everything. Please bless us as we try to share some of our experience with the people that are listening and viewing right now so that they don't make the mistakes of our past and that we can give them some insight and to do in some insight and some wisdom into investing and looking at the world in a positive way. I ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Chris, I'm going to take us right into, I'm going to get kind of the negative stuff out of the way first. I want to get your thoughts in how this war happening right now, this kind of broke out all of a sudden,
Okay.
how it's going to affect us here at home,
Uh-huh.
this Israel versus Iran situation. And,
Okay.
and what's happening right now, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have probably seen the news, but Israel took a proactive strike, at least what they say was a proactive strike against Iran because they didn't want them to have nuclear capabilities.
Thank God.
And now we've got basically a dogfight happening. They're going
Yeah.
back and forth at one another, bombing civilian areas at this point, like a lot of chaos.
Yeah.
What does it mean for us as investors?
So we are already in a lot of uncertainty in just the US with the economy and everything else going on. I sincerely believe that it's putting a lot more uncertainty into the financial markets around the world. You know, I think that a couple things are happening here. First of all, war in and of itself is never a positive thing. But secondarily, I think it's raised the awareness that that some of these extremists in the world have access to nuclear weapons. And that has like set the level of anxiety of the world up even further. So I believe that you're going to see more instability. And what happens when you have this kind of instability in the markets is people hold on to cash, to gold, to tangible things, not knowing what tomorrow is going to bring. So I think you're going to see a little bit of a pullback. I think you'll see some sort of decline in the markets, and that's probably going to be what's going to happen over the next month or two until we can see exactly how this thing is going to pan out. Because when you're fighting against somebody that's so extreme, you don't know to what extremes they're gonna retaliate. What I have seen, and this is ironically enough, you know, today in the past couple of days is the market, in fact, pulling back. Technology has pulled back, a couple other things. But the funny thing is, I have a few Fannie and Freddie stocks, and those are up again.
Same here. So Chris and I both bought Fannie and Freddie. If you guys were on the Opportunity Zone show when we mentioned it, we're not financial planners.
No.
We're not pitching stocks. That's not our thing. But we understand the mortgage market very well. And the day that we said buy Fannie and Freddie, they both took off like rockets.
Yeah, I made 10 grand in a day.
In the last weekend, up another 6% on
Yeah.
Fannie, 3% on Freddie.
Yeah, it's been good.
So it's been still
Well,
going up.
that's very odd. So, but it is what it is.
So I'm going to take it back a little more domestic now. We're going to talk
Okay.
about some of the challenges and opportunities that are happening here. But we do pray for peace. Obviously, we want good results for everybody. And I did see one meme floating on the internet, and I don't even want to joke about war, but it was the guy from North Korea, the dictator,
Yeah,
Kim.
Kim Jong-il.
Yeah, and he was frantically shouting, and he was saying, "What? You guys started a war without me?"
Oh.
It was unbelievable. So there was one small chuckle that came from it, but I want to get into actual stuff that's happening now, and I'm going to bring up Scott Cherner, Secretary of HUD. He said something that I think everybody needs to hear. So I'm going to actually share sound on this too. Okay, here he comes. Options.
No, you're right. Go to
Oh.
share screen. Hang on, we have a technology glitch. Share. Yeah, there it is. All right.
There he is.
Yeah.
Okay, Scott, bring it to us.
The president's budget continues this approach by limiting the size and the spending of federal programs. It proposes a state-based formula grant to encourage states to have skin in the game for the funding and design of their own rental assistance. The block grant will empower states to be more thoughtful and precise in their stewardship. HUD has currently 30,000 program awardees and recipients. No wonder the system is plagued by abuse. Empowering states through this reimagined system would prune the administrative burden and maintain necessary assistance for the elderly and the abused. The budget also continues our commitment to promote economic independence and adopt compassionate common sense. And historically, a bipartisan conversation around reforms like time limits and work limits, so to encourage able-bodied residents to move up. And
Able-bodied residents, Chris, let's talk a little bit about this. So Scott is basically saying there's a ton of people on subsidized housing and other HUD programs. He kind of tripped on his words. He was tripping over 30,000 or 300,000. We looked it up. There's over 9 million people in America that are on some kind of subsidized housing right now. Section 8 is primarily what most people refer to as. 9 million people. And what Scott's saying, and this is consistent week after week, he's addressing this.
I love this guy.
He's saying we need to change the culture in America. We need that there is a time limit. People can't be on a subsidy forever. It doesn't do good for the family to see mom and dad waiting for a check on the 1st and the 15th. So he's saying this. How is this going to affect investors?
How is this going to affect investors? Okay, so the scary thing, well, let me back up. Let me put my opinion in, let me put my opinion here. I'm 100% for, if you are an able-bodied, like you talked about, you need to go out and get work. If you can't get work, you're at least proving that you're trying, just like you have to do for unemployment, right? When you're getting unemployment, you have to prove that you're. I also believe in drug testing. You should be able to pass a drug test, because if you've got money to buy drugs, you have money to pay rent, and period. So with all that being said, what I perceive this to happen is there's going to be he's going to get rid of a bunch of the fraud. He's going to reduce the number of people that are eligible for Section 8 housing because he's now forcing them to go out and get a job. And then I think you're going to start seeing some of these quote unquote Section 8 millionaires that are out there, and you see them all over TikTok and all over Facebook. You're going to see them start to dry up because it's not going to be so easy for them to scam the system. It's not going to be so easy for them to go buy a rat-infested house, throw some paint on it, and sell it for a HUD voucher every month. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to see more inventory become available, and I think you're going to see a shift a little bit in the proper operators versus these kids that are sitting in their underwear in mommy and daddy's basement buying these houses and residences. And I also hope that we don't see less care for the business for the properties as HUD pulls out of these properties because they're no longer supporting them. But you're going to see evictions too, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, if the person can't make the transition to working, then unfortunately there's going to be a lot more evictions. Now we called it here on this show. We called the boom when all this Airbnb business took off. Landlords that became Airbnb millionaires overnight. We called it here and we said, hey, that's not going to last forever. That's a COVID fluke. A lot of people wanted to escape to different vacation destinations and work remotely and things like that. And that was a COVID boom. And we said that's going to be a short-term boom. And we were right. Now, if you look around at vacation rental millionaires, they're drying up really fast. And we're saying it here loud and clear. Those that are dabbling or thinking about getting into the subsidized housing landlording role, be careful.
Yeah.
Be very careful because it's very apparent that this administration is going to pull back. They're going to cut budgets. They're going to force people to go back to work. That's happening. That's happening right now.
I'm sorry. I'm a landlord. I'm good with it. I really am.
Let's talk a bit about this new Bill of Rights for tenants. I don't know if you guys saw this come through or not, but this is very newsworthy for what we're doing here. And this happened in Michigan, but this is happening all over the country. So when you see this, don't just think of Michigan, think about the rest of the country because there are bills like this almost every single quarter that are being put on the table for possible legislation. This particular one, Chris, they're saying that basically if a landlord doesn't do a repair, they say life safety, but it's very vague. It's very vague. They say if the landlord doesn't do repair within 48 hours, 2 days, then the tenant can go ahead and have the repair executed and then bill it back to the landlord or reduce the rent. Another one in here is that they can get security deposits electronically, which is cool. What are your thoughts on this, Chris?
So, believe it or not, I'm a landlord, and I have split feelings, right? First of all, once these bills start sliding in, the initial bill may be easy to swallow and it might even be positive for everybody, but it's the one behind that, right? So now they slipped one rent control bill in. Now next month they're going to tell me I can only raise rents 2.5% a year, while inflation is 4% or 5% a year.
Or the amendments.
Oh, yeah.
Let's change it.
Yeah. It comes in great, but then all of a sudden, oh, and by the way, yeah, those amendments tend to get you. So I'm totally cool with this, right? As it stands, disregarding the things that I just said. So if you're an operator, there's no reason that your landlord your tenant should be sitting with a life safety issue for more than 2 days. That's ridiculous. As far as the security deposits returned electronically, I am all for that, man. It makes my life so much easier. Now we don't have to write checks, sign them, and send them out through the mail. But again, back to once you crack the door open, they're going to start sticking all this stuff in. So I don't know, man. I can go both ways on this guy. I really can.
Yeah, I'm totally good with the surface level changes that they passed,
Yep.
but I just fear for the state of Michigan that it's the start of
Yep.
opening the floodgates.
Hello, California.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it. I grew up in Minnesota. Minnesota used to be fantastic. It was beautiful for landlording. Did my first 200 plus properties in the state of Minnesota. Now, what I do in Minnesota, let me show you the data in a little bit. We've got some interesting data on what's happening in Minnesota because of some of their laws. First, we have the suburbs picking up traffic. From 2018 to present, we saw a surge in the suburbs rentals. They went up by 17.9%. Whereas in the city, we only saw a 7.9% increase. Chris, what's your take on why people are fleeing to the suburbs? Why is rent growing so much faster in the suburbs than it is in the city itself?
Has anybody watched LA recently? Have you seen the streets of LA? That's why. Get out, get away from the crazy people, get away. Like I don't understand the looting of your own neighborhood when things aren't going your way. That just doesn't make sense to me. But yet that's what happens. So people are getting away from that. They're trying to find the safety and security of being out there, clean air, all that stuff. Get a little bit of property so that their kids and pets can run around a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely the way to go. There's always a shift that happens. There's a cyclic shift between suburbs back to the city, back to suburbs, back to the city. Yeah, right now we're on that swing, and I think we're going to stay that way. Me personally, I don't like living on top of my neighbors. I like having a little bit of breathing room, and a lot of people are shifting to that.
Yeah, yeah. I lived in downtown Chicago for a year, and it was an awesome experience for about 4 months.
Yeah,
You can walk everywhere, you don't need your car,
yeah,
but then you quickly outgrow it.
yeah,
And so I can definitely see this, especially as this public transportation on rail gets
Yeah.
faster. Like we're seeing now from Chicago to Milwaukee, all the way up to Green Bay.
yeah.
You got high-speed rail, like you can live out.
Yeah,
Live
you
out.
can get further and further away and still be like from Green Bay to downtown Chicago in less than 40 minutes on high-speed rail. It's a beautiful thing.
Let's get into what's happening with new construction, multifamily, and how this is going to affect the market.
Ain't happening in there with new construction in the multifamily market, Nate.
Check this out, guys. Chris is being a little bit facetious. He's joking, but he's serious. 2020, see this green line right here? This happens to be the Twin Cities Metro, which is Minnesota, my original hometown. And but this is really a nationwide trend. This is what you're seeing all across the board in most major metropolitans. 2020, we saw 11,000 permits or so go through for that city. 2021, they got up to about 14,000. 2022, they crested at 15,000. Ever since 2022, there's been this steep decline. Now here we are, 2025, there's almost no permits being pulled.
Like I said, nothing happening in there.
Why? Explain this to everybody.
It's really simple. It's crazy cost to build. I mean, people don't realize when the rates get held up high by the Fed, it affects everything. The cost of borrowing money to build is more expensive. We've got high inflation. The cost of a unit has now gone from what was it, 120,000 to build to 320 to 340,000 to build. It's absolutely cuckoo. So it just doesn't make business sense to build new. It just doesn't.
They're citing in this article that it's 320 to 340,000 per unit.
Yeah.
Per unit. Not that long ago, they're citing here that it was 223,000.
Yeah.
So now you're over $250,000 per unit. And so this particular builder in Minnesota said that unless the government is subsidizing it, it does not make sense to build a unit in the Twin Cities at all.
Why would you?
And that's the case in a lot of markets across the country.
It's nuts.
So for us, it's actually a good thing.
Yep.
Because we're buying existing, and when there's a limited supply and there's still a housing crisis, which we're still in, your rents only have one direction to go. You don't have a bunch of builders building. Now, Chris, a lot of people will say, but Chris, how do I see the new construction buildings still going up down the street? Why do I see one over there in the corner?
Because unlike a home, it takes multiple years to build a multifamily unit, right? 2-3 years sometimes, minimum of 2. And that's what you're seeing is a splashdown from that. And of course, there's a few starts, not a lot, but there's a few starts, but they're drying up, man.
Yeah. So the average multifamily is taking somewhere around between 2 and 3 years, just like Chris said. So if you're seeing a new construction project, it's one that was started in the past.
Yeah.
It didn't start recently. The permitting process alone goes for sometimes up to a year. Okay, next, let's talk about the trend that builders are doing to actually profitably build something right now. This is not in every city, but Seattle, Boston, and some of the other big metros like that, they're building these tiny apartments, not tiny homes, but tiny apartments. And their square footage is less than 441 square feet on average. What do you think about this, these little micro apartments?
Yeah, I think I graduated from college a long time ago, man. I'm not going back to dorms. That's crazy. But listen, this is working for some people. So you got to get out of mom and dad's house. You're 18 years old, you're 19 years old, or you're just out of college. It's the only way for them to build affordable housing at affordable prices without being government subsidized, as we talked about earlier. But here's my problem with that. Right, we're in we're in a situation right now, right, where things are the way they are. But what's it going to look like 10 years from now? Because that building's got a life cycle of at least 50 years. But what's it going to look like 10 years from now? Is that property value going to decline because it's just not working?
Bunch of studios.
Right,
All
but
the studios rent
tiny.
20 years from now.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
right. So there are other cultures in the world that, I mean, Japan, that they live in boxes for all intent and purposes. So, I don't know where to go with this one. I can understand the builders doing this. They're going to get some stuff out in the market, but I think it's going to be back to what you're talking about, living in the city, right? It was great to live in the city for a little bit, but then you want to go on home and get a little bit of space. I think these same things happen here. It's going to be cool, the minimalist thing for a minute until, you can go to bed and cook your dinner all at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
I want to point out that this is not some like little drop in the bucket.
No.
It's 66% of all new construction in Seattle. It's 52% of all new construction in Boston.
Yeah.
This is massive. Like
Yeah.
this is the majority in some of these cities. New Jersey, 49%. New York City, 43%. So this trend,
I just thought of another advantage.
what's that?
Family can't stay. I ain't got no room for you. You gotta go stay at a hotel.
I'm going to start us off with I'm going to restart the proverb of the day for Father's Day, Chris.
All right.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the market as a whole. Liquidity, there's tons of cash out there.
Yeah.
So much money. There's so much money for lending, so much money for equity, yet we're seeing people a little bit frozen. Maybe it's this conflict that we just talked about, maybe it's other things, but what are you seeing with this, Chris?
Yeah, it's 100% true. I see a whole bunch of people pulling back, waiting to see what happens. Because like the last thing that you want to do in the world is invest all this money in a property and only find out it's going to decline in a month, 6 months, 3 months, whatever. So there's a lot of uncertainty. The market's all over the place. So people are not in the market. Bonds are up and down even. So people are staying out of that. But they're holding on to cash. That always tends to happen in a time of uncertainty. People have security when they can, go to their bank account and see that they have X, Y number of dollars, and it remains that way. But the cool part of that is if you position yourself right and you're in the right place at the right time, as things start to shift, that money is going to become more liquid and available to you. I'm here to tell you, HomeInvest, us personally, the way that we structure deals, we are not really battling that. Like every deal that we're doing, it seems to be very attractive to our investors for two reasons. A, a proven track record, right? We've always done very well. And B, we buy the right deals with fixed rate financing, great terms, and we execute quickly, and we do exactly what we're supposed to do with the properties to make them perform. So while this is pretty much a widespread problem, you're gonna find pockets of people like us who are great operators who aren't really burdened by this or stymied by it, I guess is a better word.
I'm going to bring up a property that has done very, very well for us with investors, and there's a couple of reasons for it. Number one reason is because it's beautiful. Number two, the numbers are even more telling. It's more beautiful by the numbers than it is from the exterior. But this property is in downtown Green Bay, Wisconsin, Class A building on the Fox River. Literally, if you can see in the distance there, that's Lake Michigan. This is one of the Great Lakes. And so it's at the mouth of the river, and it's a beautiful, beautiful location. Across the street, this is Schreiber Foods. This is major agriculture center. Think like cheese, dairy from the heartland of Wisconsin. That's that company right there. Big, big money jobs there. You've got 16 surgeons, 2 pilots, a couple former professional athletes living here. Like just the property is stacked in the perfect location for that. But the reason why investors have been jumping at it really fast is because Green Bay has all the stats going for it. Ranked #1 best place to live in the country in 2023. It's been attracting people like left and right, not just anyone. If you look at the cities that added the most high income households, this is a study just done, 2025, you'll find that Green Bay makes #2 on this list. There's one city in Florida that took #1, Green Bay took #2. So not only do we have population flooding into this market, we have high income population moving into this market. So it's been really, really good. And typically when we bring forward an asset that's got really good movement of people into an area, our rents are able to go up. It's also backed by a lot of jobs that are coming in. I won't get into all the specifics right now, but Georgia Pacific, which is right down the river and across the river from it, they just did a huge expansion. You've got trucking companies that have been expanding. Just been all around really, really good asset for us. So if you're looking for a potential investment, we have a little bit of room left in this one. It's
Not much.
it's going to close out really fast, but we had a couple large commitments come in recently, and so we're closing this puppy up. This deal itself is closing probably in about 3 weeks, give or take. It depends on the lender. But if you're looking for a placement, the way that it works is that you come in as a limited partner. It's a partner of ours where you put in cash. You don't have to sign the loan or anything like that. We sign the loan. We do all of that side of it. We do all of the work. We manage it for 3 to 5 years. And then on the backside, we turn around and sell it. And we're going to improve the value of a lot on this property. Here's how. Chris, could you talk a little bit about the rents? Why are the rents under, or what you actually think market projections are and where they're at today?
Well, let me tell you this. So right now, this property is 100% leased. In the real estate business, in the multifamily business, that is a bad thing. Why is that a bad thing? That means that you're not charging enough for your rents. So a building of this size, it's 80 units, 81 units, I apologize. We should be renting and have 95 to 97% vacancy. Because if not, we're not pushing the rents enough. So we're going to see that once we take this over, as the leases expire, we'll be able to raise the rent 5 to 10% in the first year. And as we do that, we're going to drive the price, the value of the building up 5 to 10% a year. And one thing that you talked about previously that you didn't touch on here is Green Bay is now becoming a suburbia to Chicago, right? It's a suburb where the people now are going to be able to come to Green Bay because they're building a high-speed rail between the two. So you're going to start seeing more and more people move out this way. And as you do, and back to the apartment starts or multifamily starts are way down, there's no building going on. There's a fixed number of units, more demand. People are going to pay higher rent. So this one's going to keep growing and keep growing and keep growing. But this building is already waitlisted because, I mean, look at it. It's beautiful. That I love Green Bay sign that everybody sees on TV is right down there in front of the building, right there. So this is a hot property, and this is where we want to live. It's very prestigious.
Yeah, if you notice what Chris is talking about, this I love Green Bay sign, this big green, what?
The Cheesehead sign.
Cheesehead. That's physically right here. They call it City Deck, and the property is called City Deck Landing because it's on City Deck. The city redeveloped about 10 years ago. They redeveloped their river walkway, and you can literally walk all the way down the stretch, and it's now just gorgeous new construction stuff. So this asset's relatively new, 2015 built, and just gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Notice here too, like I know that we talked earlier about some of the tiny footprints that builders are building. These are not tiny. These are massive. And the reason why these like surgeons and doctors and pilots
They're
like them,
luxurious.
yeah, they're high end. Some of them, if you look at the roof of the building, there's a vaulted ceiling up here. A lot of these, especially the top floor, they actually have 2 floors of living in an apartment. I don't know where you get that in an apartment building anymore, but it ends up making it a very, very nice place. Anyhow, if you are looking for a potential investment, we've got a little bit of room left on it. What you can do is book a call with our team. We'll go through the specifics with you, get you a copy of the offering memorandum. There's a link in the chat right now. If you're not seeing the link for some reason on social media, then type the word call, C-A-L-L, C-A-L-L, and our team will send you a private message and get it over to you. Did I miss anything else, Chris?
Sure did. As part of this investment, one of the best parts of this investment is the unbelievable tax advantages of investing in multifamily real estate. I'm not going to go off on a whole spiel here, but there's a bill that's going to be passed this year that's going to give back investors so much tax benefits that it's unbelievable. So I would highly recommend that you do something about your taxes today. You'll get into this property, which is going to appreciate, and then you're going to get also what's called bonus and accelerated depreciation to offset some of the taxes that you pay into good old Uncle Sam. So don't forget that as part of your investment strategy always.
Yeah, if you got questions on that, like, hey, how does this tax benefit work? Just book a call with our team. We'll go through it. We've got a lot of folks. We just had a doctor come to us 3-4 weeks ago and made a commitment with us, and we're helping him map out the tax benefits for him. But there are massive. The IRS, don't think of them as a penalty box. Think of them as an incentivization program. They incentivize the behaviors that they want. And one of the big ones that they want is they want us, the government wants us to provide housing, to provide jobs, to invest our capital. And when you unlock the tax benefits of multifamily real estate, you can pick up those benefits. Like literally, Chris got a refund check from the IRS last year, a massive one, while having a fantastic financial year. And so you might be eligible to do the exact same. We can walk you through that on the call.
Yeah, so Lydia, I saw you put in there, there's this link right above your chat bubble. Click on that link, get somebody on the phone. Everybody's tax situation is different. We're not tax advisors, we're not tax professionals. All we can share is our experience and what we've done, and you can make your own decisions, bring me a CPA, and execute on the plans that are best suited for you.
Cool. And investment tiers, a lot of people will ask this. We've got tiers that start at 100, that's our minimum, but a lot of people have been doing 500 and $1 million with us, some more. And so there's tiers that start at 100,000, they go up to $1 million and more, and there's more benefits for folks that are doing larger dollar amounts.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hey, we appreciate having you guys on the Opportunity Zone. Come back again next week. Chris and I are going to break down what's happening, all the headlines, the news that affects you as investors.
Amen. God bless everybody.
Thanks, guys.